Hi, this is Alan Olsen, and welcome to American Dreams. My guest today is Austin Fowler. Austin, welcome to today's show.
Thanks, Alan. Great to be here.
So, Austin, let's walk through your journey. Tell us about the events that brought you up to your starting and your creation of your current company, Stairway.
Sure. Well, the thing that actually motivated me to do it was my choice of career. I chose to work in physics. And after 10 years of physics, I realized that I was never going to earn very much money in that field. And so I felt the need to start an investment company. And I wanted to do something a bit different. I really wanted to have an impact on how people save, so getting a more secure return, how people learn investing in particular. So I'm not a big fan of the stand in a room and shout lots and walk over hot calls approach to investing. Education doesn't work that way. It takes years to build the mindset to really work. So our goal was to pay people to learn to invest, give them a secure return and then pay people, show them how we invest, deal by deal, break down those mental barriers until people are comfortable and really get people going in the right way. And then also to have an impact on the capital raising sphere. So a lot of people raise equity, which is expensive, and then you have a lot of pressure to invest for a high return. And that prevents you doing a lot of ethical things, right? If you really want to invest in renewable energy, it's very difficult to do if you're raising equity. You can't provide people with what they expect. So our model is savings accounts. We provide people the security of an 8% return. And that we find is a great ecosystem. Pay people 8, teach them how to invest, scale. And then when they're ready, they can do exactly what we do, get their own clients and scale their own investing. So it really came from wanting to do what I really enjoyed doing. To be clear, 10 years of learning about physics got me a job that I had to travel the world to get. I was told I had a 25% chance of getting work in Australia. And if I succeeded in that, I would have failed because the successful people leave the country and travel the world and prove their wares elsewhere. That's a 50 grand a year job in Canada, right? So you're an artist. You're doing work that you are passionate about, that you're happy to be up at 2 a.m. doing. But you're not doing it for the money. At the same time, in the modern world, if you want a house, if you want a wife, if you want kids, and I have all of those things, well, that has to come from somewhere. And so tying everything together, I have my business Stairway that lets me grow financially, help other people grow financially, also have a more positive impact on the world. I mean, the world needs lots of things, lots of people willing to do what it takes to make those things happen. And a big inspiration for me along this journey has been Opportunity International. So they're a charity I started donating to while I was still a student, before I built anything, my career or my business. And they have this wonderful, wonderful model where they go to communities of people that are living right on the brink. And, let's reflect. What does that mean? We live in a world, 2024, where 9 million people starve to death a year, right? That's our world, okay? That's the task that is set before us. If you want to help people, start there. That's more people than AIDS, malaria, tuberculosis combined. Number one killer on the planet, it's not war, it's poverty. People unable to afford to feed themselves and their family. So this is where I really wanted to devote my growth, my efforts. And they have this way of working where they go into a community and they work primarily with women because they find these people are more responsible, more industrious. Teach them business skills, assemble them in groups of approximately 20, where they all support one another. One business falls over, the others step in and help. And after providing this business education, making this group of self-interested people, they take that group to a local lender and educate the lender that this is a safe place to lend to. And by doing that, they can take donated dollars, turn them into education, and then turn that education into up to 100 times as much capital in the hands of people that need it to grow on their own terms. So this wonderful motto of providing a hand up, not a handout. And so I figured, look, if I can direct more capital in their direction, that's something worth fighting for. That's something worth doing my career, which I love, and building a business on the side, which can give me the opportunity to give more opportunity to those that need it. And so this is what powerfully motivates me. When it's 2:00 in the morning and I'm thinking, why am I doing this? I think, well, because there are people that need it, people that didn't have the luxury of growing up in Australia, spending 10 years at university, traveling the world doing physics. These are enormous luxuries, privileges, right? And if I can take that good fortune and spread it as wide as possible, that is what makes me happy each day.
So how did you end up? I'm going to switch topics on you here, but quantum computing. How did you end up jumping into your research on quantum computing?
Sure. So I was always curious about technology. When I hit university, it was a smorgasbord of learning that I couldn't stop eating. There was computer science, had to do that. Computer engineering, had to do that. Mathematics, give me as much as you can. Physics, all of it. And so I overloaded myself with subjects. I did twice the usual course load. I did 8 years of work in 4. And the net effect of that was I had options in terms of what I wished to do going forward. I tried mathematics. I thought maybe I want to do research professionally in mathematics. Discovered it was a little too risky from a career point of view, from my point of view. I was interested in string theory. However, what your life looks like is most likely you'll spend 30 years of your life researching a theory. That is wrong. There are many competing theories, at most one of which can be right. That didn't seem to be a good use, in my case, of my time. I then looked at physics, early universe cosmology, same deal, unfortunately. There are many competing theories, at most one of which is right. You'll very likely spend 3 decades of your life researching something that is not true. But then, for whatever reason, in their wisdom, the Australian government decided, you know what, we're a small country, 25 million people. There are cities on the planet with more people than that. We can't be good at everything, but we're going to be good at quantum computing. And that was perfect. Computer science, computer engineering, math, and physics, it's like, thank you very much. I found my calling. Let's push that. Because it's practical. You're building tech, right? It's not ivory tower, just something for the sake of it. And that, again, on the how I like to spend my time is very important to me. So I've been doing that now for 20 years, quantum computing, and it's a very tough field. It's probably going to take another 20 years to build a useful device. But with the backing of Google, which is where I work, there is every reason to believe we can do it. We just need to keep pushing the way we are.
And how do you find the balance between your research work and growing a business and also family?
Sure. It's a constant work in progress. The number one thing that makes it possible is when we invest, when we build our company, right from the beginning, it's like career, family first. These are my passions. The business must always be as automated as possible. The investments must be as hands-off as possible. We have to partner with people. So the kinds of investing that we teach in Stairway, they're not you're going to be spending hours every day and your weekends sacrificed to make that investment work. We focus on identifying responsible stewards of capital, partnering with them, and then being hands-off and moving on to the next deal. So, we like to think that we teach the skills that are more practical for average people when it comes to investing. Most people don't want to be a full-time investor. They have other things, family and their own careers, that they'd much rather be doing. And so in many ways, I see my busyness as an advantage when it comes to scaling, because we focus only on those kinds of techniques which are hands-off, are scalable, are the kinds of things you can do 100 of and still not lose all your time in the week. So, if it comes to owning a single family home, professional property management is the first thing we have to sort out. If it's not professionally properly managed, we wouldn't touch it. Commercial real estate, same deal. If there's not a very professional operator in place, we wouldn't get started down that path. Renewable energy, same deal. If we can't partner with a company that's going to do the work and do the work right, we wouldn't begin that conversation. So it doesn't have to be a barrier. Sometimes it can be an advantage because it stops you getting stuck in all the minutiae of the business in a way that would prevent you from growing further.
In today's ever-changing world, what inspires you to keep pushing when this going gets tough? This is really nothing constant in today's society.
It's true, but that is part of what pushes me. I work in an industry which has risk, all right? So I need the business personally. And at the same time, I know there are many people around the world that face similar risks, different perhaps, but whether it be displacement through war, displacement through environment, there's a lot of people that need other ways of generating income that I'm very happy to try to build a business to help them do so. So I've had a quantum computing grant shut down by the US government before, right? We were a team of 200. It was supposed to be 4 years. 2 years in, they said, yep, no, we've got our results. We're done. 2 months notice. So with a family with 3 young kids, I'm very powerfully motivated to make sure my business is my very strong plan B. If I don't get to keep doing quantum forever, then I have something else to fall back on. And then beyond that, at a global scale, when I look out my window, I see a lot of work that needs to be done. I'd love to be part of the solution, not the problem. And again, that is more than enough motivation for me to keep pushing.
Who are you searching for in your network, or who would you like to be hearing your message today?
Sure. So there are really 2 sides of the coin. There are the people that are looking to learn investing, and then there's people that are already very professional in their investing. We're interested in both. If you want to learn, let us teach you. If you already know, well, let's give you the framework to share that knowledge. And from your point of view, get you the mechanism to raise capital at 8%, because that's what we do. We run a private bank with the legal infrastructure to share that with others, so you can raise capital at 8%. And that's a fixed interest loan, interest capitalizing term forever, and complete flexibility in how you invest it. So if you're professionally in your investing, that should be a very appealing product, because you keep all the upside above, and the product you're really selling is not the 8% you pay the investors, but the value, the knowledge you provide them. That's why people invest with us. So yeah, both sides, whether you're a learner or a professional, we're very interested in working with you.
How does a person find you on reach out to you? Is there a website? Or
There is a website, yes, stairwayinvest.com. So you can find us easily.
It's been a pleasure having you with us today here on American Dreams.